semua untuk hari ni kita akan masuk topik yang baru dalam interaction design, okay, iaitu user experience ya. Okay, saya akan sharekan kita punya notes. So hari ni kita akan masuk satu topik baru. Okay, kita dah belajar sebelum ni tentang user interaction, tentang user interface. And now kita akan pergi kepada satu lagi aspek yang penting dalam interaction design, iaitu user experience. Okay, dalam bahasa Melayunya adalah pengalaman pengguna. So apa yang akan kita lihat dalam konteks pengalaman ni apabila mereka bentuk, itu satu. Dan juga bila kita bermain games ni ya. Okay, so objektif yang kita nak capai hari ini adalah pertama, kita nak identify user experience characteristic. Dan yang kedua, kita nak understand user experience, importance and benefit dia. Kenapa pentingnya user experience ni yang perlu kita cater ataupun perlu kita consider dalam kita nak mereka bentuk, kalau kita lah sebagai mereka bentuk permainan kan. Dan juga bila kita bermain games tu. Okay, ingat lagi tak user experience dengan user interface ni? Ingat lagi ke? Ke dah tak ingat dah?
Ingat.
Okay. User experience dan juga interface. Kalau kita tengok kat situ, user interface dia more kepada layout, visual design, branding dan juga interactive design. Maksudnya user interface ni dia lebih kepada paparan ataupun estetik lah. Macam mana benda tu nampak ataupun dapat dilihat dekat atas skrin tu. Manakala user experience ni pula dia melibatkan kita punya, siapa ingat? User experience. Kalau kita tengok situ ada storytelling, engagement, objective dan juga usability. So dekat sini user experience ni cater tentang apa? Dia cover tentang apa? Kita punya apa?
Otak kiri.
Okay, means kognitif lah kan? Maknanya kita punya minds. Okay, good Kai. Lain? Selain daripada fikiran kita, kognitif kita, apa lagi? Bila korang main tu, experience tu apa yang menyentuh korang? Maksudnya. Apa yang korang rasa? So dia berkaitan dengan apa?
Anggota badan.
Okay, physical. Okay, maknanya kita punya kemahiran lah. Okay, interaction. Lagi? Good. Macam ni lah. Yang paling penting ni, kalau korang main tu, korang ada satu perasaan. Bila perasaan ni melibatkan apa?
Emotion.
Yes, that's right. So dia user experience ni, dia cater semua tadi tu lah. Minds iaitu kognitif, physical, interaction dan juga emotion. Okay, good. So, apa yang dimaksudkan dengan user experience? Okay, first, user experience is a person's emotions and attitudes. Means, dia melibatkan kita punya perasaan dan juga tingkah laku kita. Okay, macam mana kita nak gunakan sesuatu produk, sistem or service tu lah. Okay, dalam konteks ni adalah game kita tu, permainan kita tu. Okay, it includes the practical, okay, maknanya yang hands on ni. Okay, experiential, okay, pengalaman kita. Efektif, kita punya tingkah laku ataupun sikap kita. Meaningful and valuable aspects of HCI. Okay, HCI ni adalah orang kata payung besar ataupun orang kata bidang dalam interaction design. Okay, and product ownership. So benda-benda ni dia adalah orang kata faktor kepada user experience tu. User design is the process used to determine what the experience will be like when a player interact with the game. Okay, macam yang siapa cakap tadi lah, maknanya ada interaction. And UX design is the art of science. Okay, dia ada salah satu daripada gabungan antara art and science of generating positive emotion through game interactions. Okay. So user experience ni kalau kita tengok dalam proses di design and development, dia berada kepada semua fasa. Okay, daripada fasa concept and ideation, design and pre-production and production. Okay, kalau kita tengok pada bahagian concept and ideation, dia lebih kepada users tu punya experience. Kita kena tengok, consider what do we want to make and who is our players. Sebab tu sebelum kita buat games, kita kena tentukan kita punya target. Target apa? Senyap je ni, target apa?
Target user.
Yes, sebab kita ada golongan yang berbeza kan. Nah, bila bagi golongan yang berbeza, jadi pengalaman setiap golongan tu ataupun target user player tu pun berbeza. Okay, sebab tu kita kena tengok dari segi competitor, UX steward, tear downs, player personas. Player personas ni maksudnya dia punya personality. Dia punya ataupun capability users tu. Konsep art testing, UX postmortem, game jam tested, playtest and interaction design prototypes ya. Itu dekat bahagian konsep and ideation. Pada peringkat yang design and pre-production pula, okay, kita akan tengok dari segi paper prototype, playtest. Kan kita dah buat kan minggu lepas paper prototype. Okay, wireframe and user interface maps, usability testing, UX heuristic reviews and UX documentation. Okay. Dekat sini kita akan tengok how can we get this right the first time. Maknanya pada bahagian testing tu lah. Okay. And pada bahagian production pula, full play through, play diaries, usability testing, analytic, ini semua adalah dia punya proses macam mana nak tentukan user experience tu. Okay, pada bahagian production ni, what do we need to tweak and where do we focus. Okay, so pentingnya user experience ni kita pastikan start from daripada awal daripada proses reka bentuk dan juga pembangunan permainan tu. Okay, clear tak kat sini? Faham tak? Pentingnya user experience ni. Ada apa soalan?
Tak ada.
Okay. And seterusnya UX design ni, apa benda yang kita nak tengok dekat user experience ni? First sekali, kita tengok dari segi interface dia kan. Interface dia segi paparan dia tu, capture kita punya kata mata ke, ataupun kita nampak dia serabut ke. Okay, interface tu dia punya susunan layout, consistency untuk dia punya icon, dia punya tag semua tu okay ke tak. Okay, iaitu bahagian interface. Navigation ni pula bila kita buat hyperlink, kita buat button link kepada kalau tulis play tapi tiba-tiba kita tekan play, dia pergi kepada main menu pula. So tak sesuai. Okay, kadang-kadang tu button tu terlampau kecil ataupun navigation dia tu tak ada interaction. Maknanya kalau tekan ke tak tekan ni sebab dia tak ada feel and closure punya elements tu. So benda tu pun boleh menurunkan kita punya rasa ataupun user experience kita tu. Okay. Structuring ni pula dari segi flow games tu. Kan kita dah belajar tentang kalau tentang flow ni, apa benda yang kita buat dalam games. Kalau kita nak buat flow tu, apa nama dia tu?
Chat.
Flowchart ataupun apa nama dia? Game flow diagram, GFD. Ingat tak? Yang ada start, yang ada bentuk diamond semua tu. Ingat tak?
Ingat.
Okay, good. And design. Design macam yang kita sama tahu ni lah, dari segi design character, design interface, interaction design and so on. Okay, HCI ni human computer interaction, merangkumi semualah. Okay, dari segi yang tadi tu bila sebut tentang HCI tadi, dia sebut tentang mana tadi? Tentang practical, experiential, effective, meaningful and valuable. Okay, ini adalah berkaitan dengan HCI ni punya aspect. Okay, user research ni pula kita boleh tengok dari segi dia punya keberkesanan games tu. Okay, dari segi kepuasan games tu, yang boleh kita tanya dekat user tu. Okay, and maybe kita boleh gunakan user tu untuk dapatkan data untuk macam mana games yang lebih baik untuk kita bina. Okay, itu adalah dari aspek pengalaman users tu lah. Mana kita akan, bila kita dah siap games tu, kita test dekat orang, kita akan dapat ciri-ciri ataupun test sebab games kita tu okey ke, tak okey ke, ataupun perlu okey tapi perlu penambahbaikan. Okay, macam itulah. Dan test tu pula dilihat dari segi usability. Okay, usability ni dia adalah satu dalam bahasa Melayu dia kebolehgunaan. Okay, dan dia banyak elements lah. Ada tentang satisfaction, ada effectiveness, ada efficiency. Okay, mungkin ada learnability. Dia banyak kita elemen-elemen dia ya. Dan semua benda tu dalam orang kata kategori usability. Dan accessibility pun adalah salah satu daripada faktor dalam usability jugalah. Okay, bila kita accessibility ni maknanya mudah untuk kita access. Games tu mudah kita nak download, mudah kita nak main, mudah kita nak log in, okay? Dan sebagainya. So dalam UX design, user experience design ni, benda-benda ni lah yang kita akan tengok dan juga kita kena consider dan juga kita kena letak perhatian, okay? Okay. So ini juga dalam rajah ni juga menunjukkan ciri-ciri user experience yang baik. Okay, kalau kita tengok sini less is more. Maksudnya konsep dia tu macam minimalis lah. Okay, jangan terlampau serabut, warna pun jangan terlampau banyak. Okay, kalau walaupun game untuk kanak-kanak tapi tak semestinya warna tu mesti colourful sangat. Dia mesti orang kata sedap mata memandang. Kan bila main games tu, okay, dia macam nampak jelas lah antara colour background dengan colour foreground, okay? Depan dan belakang dia kena kontras dan sebagainya. It's juga credible. Credible ni maknanya boleh dipercayai. Okay, games tu kalau mana-mana games yang memang ada database ataupun dia boleh simpan data, so boleh dipercayai. Satisfaction means bila orang main tu rasa wah, happy, rasa puas, tak rasa stress. Okay, stress dalam games ni good juga sebab bila stress dalam games ni bukan stress macam benci ke macam tertekan murung, tak. Stress dalam games ni bila dia main tu dia ada rasa macam apa tu?
Senang-senang.
Rasa berkobar-kobar kan. Dia rasa macam kenapa tak dapat main. Macam itulah satisfaction tu. Okay. Valuable. Okay, maknanya kalau korang beli game tu maknanya worth for money lah. Navigation, macam function-functional tadi, hyperlink ataupun button tadi. Okay, useful maknanya boleh digunakan. Contextual means dia dalam kalangan ataupun dia environment dia tu sesuai. Okay, and human, okay, human dan juga findability. Okay, findability ni maknanya kita mudah nak carilah, and human tu walaupun dia games ataupun benda mesin tapi dia ada unsur-unsur kemanusiaan. Yang mana unsur-unsur ni adalah dekat dengan kita punya experience, ya. Okey, ini adalah contoh-contoh user experience yang baiklah. Dan ada juga yang melibatkan tentang good usability design. Macam saya sebut tadilah, usability tadi dari segi dia punya satisfaction, effectiveness, efficiency, learnability. Okay, so semua benda tu lah. User friendly, okay, user friendly macam kita tahulah mudah nak digunakan. Great visual design, okay, dari segi interface tadilah, okay, macam yang tadi dan juga estetik dia. Good UX dan juga plan user research. Okay, plan user research tadi guna dia untuk apa? Siapa ingat yang macam saya kata dekat sini tadi? Apa dia? Untuk perbaiki apa?
Kelemahan dalam game.
Okay, good. Okay, untuk kita dapatkan feedback daripada user sama ada games tu okay ke tak ataupun perlu ada penambahbaikan dan sebagainya. Okay, yakin sikit lah dia dah jawab. Kan dia tak tahu, saya takut je kan. Okay, kena yakin. Okay, so kat sini saya tunjukkan ada 6, nampak ke slide ni ke kecil?
Kecil dah juga tapi nampak je.
Okay. 6 benefits of UX design. Sebenarnya saya dah cakap dah sebelum ni tapi hari ni dia dah kategori ataupun dia dah state kan. Pertama, investing money in UX now save money later. Means sekarang ni bila nak buat games, orang dah tak sangat tengok pada part orang kata estetik dia tu tak berapa sangat, tapi orang lebih kepada experience user tu untuk bermain. Dia akan games yang mana touch lebih kepada emotion, touch lebih kepada skills kan. Okay, macam korang tengok, kalau sekarang ni games yang tengah orang kata hip sekarang apa?
Among Us.
Okay, good. Contohnya Izzah kan, Among Us kan. Okay, saya saya pun tak pernah main. Okay, saya tak pernah main. Tapi saya stay semalam lah. Elok pula semalam kan. Saya try lah apa benda lah. Pasal Among Us ni kan orang kata pasal apa? Imposter lah apa semua tu kan. Lepas tu saya tengok lah satu YouTube ni. Dia buat macam yang gameplay lah. Dia main dengan kawan-kawan dia apa semua tu kan. Okay, tengok dia punya design ataupun dia punya karakter tu. Kalau kita tengok macam orang macam budak baru belajar melukis, betul tak?
Betul,
Kan?
betul.
Karakter dia macam alah apa benda lah betul-betul macam ni. Macam dia punya pun taklah cantik sangat ke apa, tapi orang suka main, orang eager sangat nak main sebab dia ada letak yang emotions tu. Okay? Dia lebih kepada interaction bila main dengan multiplayer. Lepas tu dia ada macam apa kata strategi, dia kena macam ada rasa macam apa kata kena berlakon lah, banyak benda yang orang kata lebih kepada user experience, bukan lebih semata-mata kepada user interface. Okay, so kat situ walaupun orang kata dia depends lah. Kalau orang kata macam obses sangat games tu sampai ada yang apa tu boleh jadi musuh dalam selimut ke apa semua tu, depends lah. Tapi pandai-pandai lah untuk jaga diri kan, daripada terus buat benda yang tak baik ke apa semua. Tapi kalau sekadar suka-suka nak main, saya rasa tak ada masalah pun kan. So janganlah kita terlampau obses sampai boleh mengganggu kita punya daily social life kita tu. Okay, itu pertama. So yang kedua, to create the right product from the start. Okay, sebab itulah dekat 3 proses tadi, ada proses ideation, design dan juga post production, semuanya ada bahagian user experience ya. Ketiga, to increase your conversion. Okay, dekat sini kita akan tengok macam mana conversion antara users tu akan meningkat. Okay, yang keempat, improve self-service and your hip pocket. Jadi lebih kepada business lah. Okay, bila kita ada good user experience, allow customer to complete their business on your site rather than option to call. Okay, maksudnya bila kita dapat satu games yang user experience elemen dia baik, orang tak akan macam asyik-asyik kalau ini macam website lah contohnya, website tu tak baik kan, so orang akan call helpdesk ke ataupun orang akan cari tutorial ke semua tu. So bila kita ada UX design yang baik, so games tu dapat dimainkan tanpa perlu ada orang tercari-cari macam mana cara nak main dia. Okay, yang kelima, user experience is crucial to SEO. Okay, SEO ni dia lebih kepada search engine lah. Okay, search engine loves great user experience. Okay, maknanya mudah untuk kita nak cari and drive customers loyalty. Of course lah, bila kita suka tentang satu benda tu, bila kita keep engage ataupun kita dah attach dengan satu-satu games tu, kita akan rasa tak nak main benda lain lah. Kita akan menantikan for the features yang baru ya. So daripada keempat-empat benefits ni tadi, kita dapat lihatlah bahawa UX design ni dia boleh meningkatkan dari segi sales and repeat customer sebab ada loyalty tadi tu. Okay, credibility and brand value, productivity and user adoption. Okay, manakala dia juga dapat membantu kita untuk menurunkan ataupun decrease training, maintenance, errors and support cost. So pentingnya kita consider ataupun kita take care tentang user experience design ni sejak daripada awal kita bina games tu. Okay, so macam mana kita nak tentukan UX design ni, dia punya orang kata test tu, kita perlu lakukan testing ya. Testing tu tadi yang macam saya tunjuk yang sebelum ni lah, yang ni. Maknanya kat sini lah, dia beberapa jenis testing. Ada usability testing, analytics in database, narrative play testing, onboarding dan sebagainya. Semua ni, kalau saya nak cerita satu-satu panjang sangat. So, tugas korang lah untuk tengok tengok nanti mana yang sesuai. Okay, selalunya kalau nak segi usability, kita akan ambil tengok usability based testing. Kalau kita nak tengok dari segi dia punya documentation, boleh tengok UX documentation. Okay. Okay. Okay, ini antara, kita ambil contoh lah benefits of UX ni. Okay, kalau benefits of UX ni yang saya cerita tadi ni atas ni, kita tengok kalau IBM, kenal tak company IBM? Pernah dengar tak?
Pernah.
Komputer kan yang dahsyat, yang orang kata dulu dahsyat lah kan IBM ni. Okay, IBM gets return of 1:100 for usability testing. Okay, kat sini pula kalau Amazon pula, nampak tak ni? Okay, Amazon pula dia gain million a year through improve UX. Okay, McAfee ni antivirus pula, McAfee redesign cut support cost of 19%. Okay, kesemua-semua brand yang besar-besar ni dia melakukan usability testing sebab dia melakukan UX testing sebab inilah benefit dia. Okay, business dia boleh increase, okay, dan dia pun tak ada banyak risiko, tak ada banyak orang kata bugs ke ataupun apa-apa defect kan. Iaitu pentingnya usability, yang pentingnya user experience ya, design. Okay, saya tunjuk satu video. Okay, video ni dia tunjukkan macam mana Fortnite. Dah dengar Fortnite? Siapa main Fortnite lagi? Ada tak yang main Fortnite?
Pernah dengar tapi tak pernah main. Tapi
Saya pernah buat testing tau dengan budak-budak sekolah rendah. Saya minta diorang tanya, saya tanya dekat diorang, game siapa yang korang main? Okay, dia tak sebut game-game yang macam biasa-biasa ni. Dia Fortnite, PUBG, dahsyat tau. Macam mana ni student games tak main benda-benda ni? Tak apa. Okay, minat-minat orang berbeza. Tapi at least pernah dengar tu okey lah juga kan. Okay, so kita tengok macam mana Fortnite UX designer ni dia melakukan UX design, testing design Kita tengok sekejap. Okay, nampak tak video?
Nampak tak?
Right. It just feels natural. It feels good to play.
Okay lah, Aiza.
You don't even notice it. I'm Celia Hudet. I was director of UX at Epic Games, and here are 10 things that you might not have noticed in Fortnite. The HUD. So when you create a game, you want to make sure that players don't have to remember too much stuff, because our memory is quite limited and we forget things all the time, which is normal. So what we do is we put information in the HUD or in the UI pop-ups so that we reduce what we call the memory load. If you look at the HUD on Fortnite, there's a lot of little things that have been worked on again and again and again to make sure that players will naturally understand what's going on. One of the examples, if you look at the icon for the weapons, there's always a smaller icon in the icon showing you what type of ammunition the weapon is taking, so that players won't have to remember what type of ammunition they need to craft, and so they craft the right ammunition. We try to always show the control that you need to use to do the action that you want to do as a player in the game. For example, if you want to swap from the building mode to the shooting mode, we show you the keys that you need to press to be able to swap from one mode to the other. This is allowing players to not have to remember these controls and doing the things naturally. Another important information in the HUD is information about your health. We really need players to really have a clear understanding on their level of health. And one of the important things to do is to try to have a green health bar, because if you have a green health bar, then you save the red color, and red is a very good color to contrast with what's happening in the background, to really save for when you're getting damaged or when you're about to die. Another element in the HUD that's quite important is showing the material that you have. Fortnite is about building. This is a very important pillar in the game, and so in the HUD you always see the 3 types of material that you have, like wood, metal, or bricks. And this is also very important for players to not have to remember how much they have. This is what we call an affordance, a cognitive affordance. You see on the HUD what material you have, and it's allowing you to build accordingly. Harvesting. Harvesting is also a very important pillar in Fortnite, and it was very important to convey what players are harvesting and how efficient they are in harvesting. There's also a feature that's really interesting in Fortnite. It's called the weak point feature. So when you harvest, you're going to have a little pop-up on the screen showing you that, hey, there's a weak point in that element, and if you aim at that weak point, you're going to harvest faster. This is a really important feature because we don't want players to feel bored when they harvest. So that was a very good addition to Fortnite by designers to make the harvesting pillar more exciting and also faster. Whenever you hit the weak point, it makes a little tone that's really soothing. And if you hit several weak points in a row, you hear different music tones. This is also feedback to tell players that, hey, this is a cool thing you need to do. And, polishing the signs. So the sign is, how the weak point is going to look like to draw players' attention and to invite them to use it. And the feedback once players are using it, what do they hear, what is the animation, all that has to be very polished for the features that are really core to the experience of the game to make sure that it's going to be intuitive and offers good UX. Signs of feedback. Signs of feedback, again, are really important to polish so that players can understand just through their experimentation with the game what's going on. So if you look at the signs and feedback when players are building is really important. If you try to place a wall in an area that you can't, you have that red feedback. If you're trying to construct a wall but you don't have enough material for that, you have a feedback. We try to show players that if they can change material, which is not necessarily easy for players to understand, but if you look at the UI in building, there's a sign telling you can swap building material by pressing that key. Also, when you place the building, there's a clear feedback that the building is getting built, and we'll also try to signify to the player how they can edit doors or windows, and this is really crucial in Fortnite because building is a very important pillar in the game, so polishing all this information so that players, without having to read a ton of tutorial text, can try to figure out how this works just through the signs and feedback available in the UI. That's really important. Game feel. When talking about user experience in a game, we look at usability, the ability of the game to be used. But we also look at engageability, the ability of the game to be engaging. The element that we really care about in games is called game feel. We want to make sure that interacting with the game is going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's just pleasurable. We like to just look at the world evolving in front of us. But also we love to interact with it. When you buy a loot box, it's not just you click and you open it and you get all the stuff in there, all the cards that you wanted, for example, like in a card pack. In Fortnite, the game feel is very polished in there. For example, the card pack looks like a piñata, which is a metaphor that's fit well the world of Fortnite. It's cute, it's fun, and if you're playing on PC, if you move the mouse around, you're going to see the eye of the llama actually following your mouse. This is making the interaction more fun. Also, when you're about to hit the piñata, you're going to see the eye of the llama squinting. It's reacting to what you're doing. And of course, it's talking to you. Once you open the piñata, there's a celebration, and the piñata is still talking to you. All of that is about game feel, making it fun to interact with a specific system or feature. Onboarding. Caring about how you onboard your players and how you teach them about the mechanics and the systems of your game is really crucial because you want them to be competent and be motivated into using specific features without them feeling it boring to go through tutorials, because usually players hate tutorials, but they hate even more feeling that the game is unfair or feeling that they don't really know how to get out of a situation. So you have to place the players in a situation that's going to be meaningful for them to learn about specific mechanics, so it doesn't feel that we're trying, to teach them about something. It feels more about they're part of the game already and they're experimenting stuff in the game to overcome obstacles and through that learn about the game. In Fortnite, it was really important to teach players about the core elements of the game, like combat, building, scavenging, or harvesting, and that you have to develop your home base. This is your persona in the game, this is what you progress, this is what you grow. Whenever you start playing Fortnite and Save the World, the first thing you do when you take over control is you're in a cave and then you're gonna see enemies, the husks, that are about to get at you, but there's a low wall in front of them. So you see them actually trying to destroy that wall. Immediately it tells you, well, there's walls in Fortnite and enemies are stopped by these walls. So you learn about, oh, this is something that I can use to protect myself. And this is when we actually ensure that players are able to aim and shoot. You are kind of protected because there's the wall, but there's still some pressure, some excitement because the zombies are here. And so you want to, of course, kill them. This is allowing us to make sure that the players are comfortable with controls without, being completely disengaged with the coarseness of the game. And the onboarding, another part that's really interesting is at some point you're in a cave and you want to get out of the cave, but you can't get out of the cave. But this is when we tell you, hey, you can actually build stairs. This is how you can get out of stuff, get out of pits, and explore the world. So we put specifically the player in a meaningful situation where they would want to learn about a specific feature, in that case, building. And this is how we teach them the first steps of building. Enemy health bars. In the UI, what we're trying to do is to make sure that players understand very quickly what they have to do and what's dangerous to them. So that's the reason why we usually try to save the red color for something that's really, really dangerous right now. So when you're getting hurt or when you're about to die. That's the reason why in Fortnite, for example, in Save the World, the health bar of the enemies are not red but orange. Orange is still a good color to signify that this is a bad guy, but it's not gonna overload the player with tons of red color. So when the player is getting hurt, the feedback on that, is red, and this really stands out. By removing the red color everywhere and just saving it, reserving that color for when something very dangerous is happening to players, it's helping players react faster and understand better what's going on. The loading screen. Loading screens are important because, well, the game is going to load and players are going to have to wait. And we hate waiting. This what we call the psychology of waiting. We hate waiting. It's painful. So on the loading screen, you need to have stuff that's exciting for players to look at or to play if you're able to add some little mini games in the loading screen. But you can also take that advantage of the loading screen to tell players about something. For example, if you have games with different modes, like in Fortnite, you can use the loading screen for that specific mode to tell players about the objectives of the mode. And this is where you have to keep it sweet and short. If you look at the loading screens in Fortnite, there are 3 main elements, and they focus on the main objectives that players have to do, not necessarily the tiny little details for the players. They gotta figure the details out, they just need to understand the objectives. Accessibility. Accessibility is also very important for a game. You want your game to be able to be played by all sorts of players, including players having some sort of disabilities. So we look at stuff like controls, making sure that players can plug any type of controller on the game. So that's the reason why usually in games we try to offer a complete mapping of control. That's really important for some players. And another example would be the colorblind mode. About 8% of the male population has some sort of colorblindness. So you need to take that into account when you design your game. So be careful with the colors you're using. There's a way to anticipate, depending on which sort of color blindness we're talking about, to make sure that the colors are going to contrast. But also usually we try to never only use color to tell about a certain feature. We use color and shape, or we're going to use other ways to convey information, but we usually never use color by itself to signify something to players. Searchable objects. It's all about making sure that players don't have to remember all this information that we don't want them to remember, because we want them to focus their attention and to remember other information that's really core for the experience of the game. Whenever you go close to a searchable object, you will have a pop-up saying, telling you what key you need to press to search that object. This is a little thing that helps players not to have to remember that specific key. Pinning functionality. The pinning functionality is also a feature that helps players not having to remember a ton of information that we don't care about. If you want to craft a specific weapon in Fortnite, what you can do is you look into your inventory, you're like, oh, I want to craft this thing, but you don't have all the ingredients that you need to craft it right away. So what you can do is you click on the pin functionality, and then it's going to be pinned directly on your HUD. So then on the HUD, players can see all the ingredients they need to gather, and they don't have to remember that information. This is also a way to reduce the memory load, and this is what we call a functional affordance. It's a functionality that developers put in there to help players accomplish their goals. And this is a team effort. The Fortnite team did a great job at polishing a lot of little details so that players will have a great experience playing Fortnite.
Okay, kat sini dia cakap tentang apa benda yang UX design ataupun karakteristik dalam UX design yang telah kita bincangkan tadi, yang telah saya ceritakan tadi, iaitu antaranya ada game feel, ada pasal accessibility, ada tentang apa lagi dia kata sebut tadi, searchable object kan, on body, personas, semua benda tu lah. Okay, so dengan contoh daripada game Fortnite tu kita dapat lihat bahawa dalam satu game tu macam mana kita nak interact dengan players adalah melalui user experience design tu. Okay, so rasanya sampai di situ dululah kita punya kelas pada hari ini.
Baik.
Okay, good.